Hello friends, welcome back. We had paused after module 1 on the quest for happiness and fulfillment, and I hope you had sufficient time to reflect on as well as experience happiness in the light of what we have gone through in module 1. Now we'll continue our exploration with a couple of popular frameworks for happiness. Now we will not dive too deep into each framework, but just share the idea so that you can explore at your own pace, and again let your experience guide you on how best they can serve your needs. The first one that I want to share with you is the IRMA model by Martin Seligman. IRMA is basically an acronym for 5 words. Martin says that it is a combination of P, positive emotions, which is about savoring the good moments. E, engagement, it's about finding activities that fully absorb you. R, relationships, how you nurture strong connections with your loved ones. M, which is having meaning, purpose in your life. And that's, if you remember, I talked about Dr. Viktor Frankl, whose book is called Man's Search for Meaning. It's actually one of the most important things that drives our life. And Chariji has famously quoted that the purpose of our life is to live a life full of purpose. Just remember that quote. For me, it's like an extraordinarily powerful quote. A is accomplishment. Talks about setting goals, celebrating achievements. So these are those 5 simple ingredients which Martin Seligman says what he also calls the building blocks of the good life. So when you have positive emotions using what you call the positive chemicals, the good chemicals, dopamine and then serotonin and so on and so forth, it gives us satisfaction, some sense of self-esteem, and also how do you experience cheerfulness on a regular basis. And then when it comes to engagement, it's saying having some kind of interest beyond your work that really puts us in that zone, captivates us, and where we feel that we are growing personally. In terms of relationships, it's saying how do we find affectionate, true, loving friends or family members, and how, and it's all contextual. It could be in family, it could be at leisure, it could be at work, but we need those relationships. And meaning, of course, it's about believing, working towards something that goes beyond ourselves and our lifetimes. It's about even leaving a legacy. And I mean, that's where the spiritual aspects come into it, saying that what is going to be the impact of my life. Then it's about how we achieve things. How do we have a sense of accomplishment? How do we set a success story? Doesn't matter whether it is a work or in our private life. These are what he calls the building blocks of life. And of course, we need a lot of vitality in terms of how we can be happy, driven by my mental and my physical health. So I need to have a regular exercise regime, a very healthy diet, sufficient sleep, and a very clear practice of meditation and mind. So that's one very key framework that can be of use to you. Now the next one that I want you to explore is Ikigai. Now this is a highly popular concept. I'm sure some of you must have read this book or heard about it or seen it on YouTube in some form or the other. But what I'm going to take you through is not the popular Western version which was written by Hector Garcia and Francis Miral. We will explore the original Ikigai as propounded and practiced by the Japanese. So we'll use the book written by Dr. Ken Mogi as our guide. It's called The Little Book of Ikigai. So according to Ken Mogi, he says that anything that brings sheer joy or bliss from very simple things, anything that we appreciate that brings joy, is Ikigai. As simple as that. So our Ikigai is related to which stage of life that we are in. So when you're a child, your Ikigai is going to be different from when you grow into a teenage, and from then on into an adult, and then as you age, your Ikigai changes. And it is something that comes from within ourselves and is not necessarily linked to external factors. And so it's a high level of engagement with our own spiritual self. What Dr. Ken Mogi offers is 5 pillars of Ikigai. Very simple, very impactful. What he says is, I'll just read out the 5 pillars. Number one, he's saying start small. Number two, he's saying release yourself. Number three, maintain harmony and sustainability. Four, saying look for the joy of little things. Five, saying being in the here and now. Now, these pillars keep coming up frequently because each one provides what is the supportive framework, the foundations that allows Ikigai to flourish. Now, they are neither mutually exclusive or exhaustive, nor do they have a particular order or hierarchy, but they are extremely vital to our understanding of Ikigai and also provide guidance as you digest the principles and reflect on your own life. So, let's briefly explore each of these 5 pillars. Number one, starting small. Now, this is a very simple thing, saying that Ikigai is something that is easily achievable. It's not a single sort of big, formidable life goal that might take us years to achieve, which is represented by the Western version of Ikigai. It could be very simple things like taking your dog for a walk in the morning, cherishing a cup of coffee or tea with your loved one, maybe writing a thank you note for somebody who did something out of a genuine sense of gratitude, calling your parents, aged parents, every morning or as often as you can. They live away from you. So these are not big long-term goals, not about having big houses, lot of money, or a very, very happy family. It's both the big and the small things. It is both diverse and inclusive. So that's your first thing, starting small, not trying to do too many things, too very big things in the shortest possible time. That can be quite stressful. Next one he's saying is that, just to sum up this starting small, what Dr. Ken says is that this whole attitude of starting from very specific small things actually makes you go the longest in terms of creating something wonderful. So it's a small inputs. That's what gives you sustainable happiness. We say we talk too much about goals and not enough about specifics and small things. So something for us to reflect on. Next, he talks about releasing yourself. He says we tend to be restrained in our feelings and opinions, and that itself can cause us a lot of unhappiness. Now, breaking free from these restraints and being honest to our true self helps release ourselves. It's about authenticity, where you can express freely what you feel. When we hold back our views and opinions and then regret that I should have said this, I could have said this, that causes a lot of unhappiness and also ailments in the long term. So we need to get out of these boundaries that we set for ourselves. Doesn't mean that you become totally unruly and rude. It's just that you should become more honest with your own self and not let what are the opinions and the feelings of others come in the way of your own true happiness. The third point is on harmony and sustainability. According to him, this is very important, especially we live in such a diverse world. Now, it requires us to be very close to our loved ones. That's like a magic bullet or a silver bullet to achieving harmony. And it makes our life more sustainable, as some of these, our underlying foundation of our life is independent of material things, because they all come with an expiry date. But love does not necessarily have those kind of dependencies. There's no expiry date. On the contrary, it only blossoms and becomes stronger and stronger with the years when it is presented in a way where there is mutual harmony and understanding. The next one that he talks about is the joy of little things. Now, according to him, it's the little things that have a big impact on our Ikigai. Very simple examples are like few minutes of listening to your favorite music, maybe taking a short pause in your busy life to watch birds feed on the flowers, or listening to their call in the morning, feeling the cool grass under our bare feet, savoring a juicy watermelon or an ice cream on a hot summer day. Now remember, These are in our circle of control as well. So you find out what is that little things that brings you joy. The last one he talks about is being in the here and now, being in the present. Dr. Ken states that channeling our inner child, being proactive, and more importantly, accepting ourselves will help us find our ikigai. We have to be like a child, play and learn and disassociate ourselves from the worries of the past and future to be truly in the here and now. Ikigai can be experienced in every moment of our life. All we need is the ability to become sensitive to those moments. Watch ikigai happen when building harmonious relationships that align with your values, when reaching a flow state in your hobbies, interests, or work, and by expressing your creative self, by expressing gratitude, and in the helping of others via your life roles, when being present while performing daily rituals, and in appreciating the small joys of life. Dr. Ken Mogi sums the secret of ikigai here. The greatest secret of the ikigai ultimately has to be the acceptance of oneself. No matter what kind of unique features one might happen to be born with, there is no single optimum way to ikigai. Each of us has to seek our own in the forest of our unique individualities. But don't forget to have a good laugh while seeking yours today and every day. So if you really want to understand ikigai, then we should look at the author of this earlier version, Ikigai en Suite, or what is called The Meaning of Life, written by Miko Kamiya. It's considered a masterpiece and used as a standard reference by researchers and university professors. Her 7 needs of Ikigai has been adapted by Dr. Ken Mogi as the 5 pillars of Ikigai. So the list includes life satisfaction, change and growth, bright future, interpersonal relationships and acceptance by others, freedom, self-actualization, and meaning and value. Miko makes this very simple statement that resonates deeply within our heartfulness principles. She says that we need to listen to our feelings as they never lie, and will tell you what makes your life worth living. Daji often points out that our heart guides us on what is right or wrong. And we have to become adept to listening to our heart, which is the source of all our feelings. Now, take a pause and find out what is your ikigai by focusing on the 5 pillars and see how best your 7 needs are being fulfilled. Some reflections as we close the session. Happiness is not a destination, it's a way of life. Buddha. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate. To have it makes some difference that you have lived and lived well. Ralph Waldo Emerson. There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. It's not un. I just want to spend a couple of moments here distinguishing some terms that we use interchangeably. One is joy. What is joy? Joy is an intense, fleeting burst of happiness. Something like maybe winning the lottery. Happiness. What is that? It's a more sustained feeling of contentment and well-being. Pleasure. It's a sensory gratification. It's a temporary state. Like when you eat an ice cream on a hot summer day, it gratifies your need for that cool in a hot environment. Delight. It's similar to joy, but with an element of surprise. For example, someone very dear to you visits you unexpectedly. Contentment is a state of peaceful satisfaction with your life. It's like a state of no desire or low desire. A funny story comes to my mind when talking about happiness. Ramesh and Suresh are colleagues reporting to the same manager in a reputed multinational company. Both are excellent at their work, very competitive, and they keep vying for promotion and recognition regularly. Now, this year's promotion and increment time comes up, and Ramesh goes to his boss's cabin, and after a brief meeting comes out whistling happily and calls his wife excitedly to report on the meeting. He informs her proudly that he has bagged a 15% salary hike and a 2 months pay as bonus, plus a change in title to Associate Vice President of Sales. His wife is thrilled and congratulates him and says she always knew he was such a great guy and he has proven it once again. They plan to celebrate this event with their children later in the coming weekend. Suresh has in the meanwhile completed his meeting with the boss and comes out beaming with joy. As he walks by Ramesh's cabin, Ramesh asks him how did it go. Suresh reports that he got a 16% salary hike and the rest of the things are quite similar to what Ramesh has received. Now guess what happens to Ramesh, who until then was in the peak of his happiness. Suresh has received 1% more salary hike than him. Now how happy is Ramesh? I leave you to figure out the rest of the story when Ramesh calls his wife to report this injustice. So friends, happiness is quite relative. That is often subject to factors that are not necessarily in our control. One can be happy, but can you also feel fulfilled? That's something for you to ponder over. What does Heartfulness have to say on happiness? Daji has offered a very simple formula for happiness, which can be watched in this video.
Let me start this session with a quote from German philosopher Schopenhauer. He asked, how can we determine whether a man is happy or unhappy? He defined true happiness as the complete satisfaction of all desires. Is it possible? You could say that the happiness of a person can be described mathematically. In one of those lighter moments, this equation came as an inspiration. Like if all the desires are fulfilled, let's say you had 10 desires, and out of these 10 desires, all 10 desires are fulfilled. That means 10 divided by 10 times 100. It'll be 100% happiness, isn't it? Let's say if out of 10 only 5 are fulfilled, then it would be 50%. But think of an individual who says he has no desires, the total number would be 0. So what would happen to this equation? Happiness is equal to desires fulfilled divided by total number of desires. Where total number of desires tend to be 0, anything you divide by 0 remains indeterminate factor. Earlier days we used to call it as infinite. In a desireless state, we don't expect anything. When we don't expect anything, we don't manipulate others. Why would I have to even manipulate or think about having a better relationship, for example, for the sake of my happiness or for the sake of fulfilling my desires? In that case, my happiness is dependent on outside. Our experiences show that when you're angry, that's a moment when we lose this inner emotional balance. That happiness seems to simply disappear in fit of anger. And when does anger appear in the heart? When certain things are happening against your will or against your desire. So such disappointment leads to anger. Anger makes us lose our balance, and once we lose our mental equilibrium, somehow we lose our humanity, because humanity, that human nature, human character, it is all about humanness, which arises from the heart. If one wants to have infinite happiness, infinite bliss, then we ought to minimize numbers of desires, from more and more of it to less and less, and finally, if possible, to 0. Make peace with yourself. So, to arrive at such a state of the heart which accepts, which loves, which remains constantly in a state of compassion. This is possible only when I go deep within my heart, touch the real conscience, feel that real conscience all the time, allow that conscience to rule our life. When one transcends all these differences within oneself as well as within friends and family circles, then there's beauty to such a life. Key is to go deeper within your consciousness and touch the pure conscience with the help of transmission, yogic transmission we call pranamukti. Meditation becomes deeper and deeper each time you practice it. So, what have we learned out of this? The key to happiness is to remain in tune with our inner purity, with our inner compassionate state, inner chambers of the pure heart. And when we remain pure and innocent like little children, then magical thing happens.
Please watch it and make your notes on what strikes you most from it. I hope you watched the video, and if you notice, Daji says he actually gives a mathematical formula to happiness. He says happiness is equal to the number of desires fulfilled divided by the total number of desires. Now put any number in each of this and you have a certain outcome, which is a measure of your happiness. Now imagine someone who has zero desires, and the outcome is what Daji says, indeterminate or infinite. And he goes on to say that true happiness arises when one is in tune with the innermost conscience of ourselves. When we surrender to the inner voice of the divine within us, our desires will be regulated and happiness will be similar to that of an innocent child who's quite happy playing with an old tire or a brand new expensive phone. In closing, I want you to remember, happiness is a journey, not a destination. Embrace the small joys, nurture meaningful relationships, find your purpose, strive for continual growth. Keep exploring, keep learning, keep seeking fulfillment. Keep asking yourself, what is it that you're in a unique way to contribute to yourself and others? And what is it doing which makes you truly happy? Thank you for joining me on this exploration of happiness. Now let us experience happiness using the Heartfulness meditation tool.
Sit comfortably and close your eyes softly and gently. Feel a healing energy move up from the earth into your toes, feet, and ankles. Feel your toes relax and your feet relax, and allow your ankles to relax. Now feel this healing energy move up to your knees. As it moves up, it relaxes your calf muscles. Feel this energy remove all the tension from your knees. Now it is moving further up your legs, into your thighs. Feel your thighs relaxing. Now the energy has moved into your hips and waist. Feel them relax. As the energy moves up, your lower back is relaxing. and your stomach. Now the energy has moved into your chest area. Feel it relax. Feel the energy move up your back and into your shoulders. Feel your upper back relax. And feel your shoulders simply melting away. The energy is now moving into your arms. They too are getting relaxed. Feel all the tension from your elbows leaving. And as the energy moves into your forearms, they too are getting relaxed. Remove all the tension from your wrists as the energy moves into your hands and right up to your fingertips. Now move your attention up to your neck. The energy is moving up and relaxing your neck muscles. Now it is moving into your face, relaxing your jaw and mouth. The energy moves into your nose and eyes, relaxing them. Your cheek muscles are relaxed. Feel your earlobes relax. And now the energy is moving all the way up to the top of your head. Feel it relax. Feel your entire body is relaxed from top to toe. Now move your attention to your heart. Feel that a source of light is already present in your heart, and it is attracting you from within. Do not try and see the light, just know that it is there in your heart. Be open and receptive to a very subtle energy flowing into you. Relax into this feeling. If you find your awareness drifting at any time to other thoughts, don't fight them. Let them be. Gently remind yourself that you are meditating on the light in your heart. Allow yourself to become more and more absorbed within. Remain absorbed until you hear further guidance. while keeping your eyes closed. Gently come out of the state of meditation. Now gently open your eyes. Reflect on what you just experienced. Try and retain this condition as you return to your daily routine.